Rahul, I'm going to start with you and welcome to the NDTV Profit celebration of Muhurat Trading today. What Muhurat Trading means for you, and especially this year, how are you looking at Samvat 2082?
Firstly, thank you for having me and wish you, the team and the families a very happy Diwali, and to all the viewers as well. I think, this day, I think if I take it back to when I started my career at PwC, I remember even though we had nothing to do with the corporate finance division and nothing to do with the stock markets per se, we used to land up going to office, and I used to wonder, hum office kyun aa rahe? And it was just a bunch of people who had invested in stocks like Gujarat Fluoro and things like that back then, yeah. And they used to just come and watch television and just be very excited. And I think over the years, as we got into investing, it just became tradition. I think more than anything else, it was just tradition. A token bit of buying, as you would do on Dhanteras for either your mother, wife, sister, daughter, whatever. But I think to your second question, I think that's slightly the more pertinent question, because I think the one thing, Tamanna, that's come to light in the last 1 year is asset allocation today is more important than it ever has been. And I don't think, maybe if you rewind your clips to the guest that you spoke to last Samvat, I think 99.9% would have got it wrong in terms of the prediction of the gold and silver up.
No one saw gold coming.
And let me go on record and say that I think that the next 1 year is going to be the same, because I don't think you're going to have a year where equities are going to outperform. Obviously, a couple of years back, you also had the situation where the finance minister changed the taxation on debt, and that helped hugely in terms of equity flows. But this has been the first year where, a lot of the new age investors who've come in post 2020 have seen a flat to negative return year. Now, will this have a resultant impact on flows as we go along? Because you've seen a huge run in gold and silver. Some of my, family friends that we have that are in gold and silver, they're not advocating fresh buying from here, but they're saying there's no reason to sell. And I think if that itself holds out, then I think today, this entire vertical within financial services of wealth management, I think this is going to implode in a far bigger way, is my sense. I think deals will continue to happen in the primary market, because I think the secondary market across the board valuations have topped out. I don't think anyone putting their hand on their heart and valuing a company on FY27 will give you one stock recommendation saying, hey, this is looking like a screaming buy. Wo hai nahi is market. That's why other asset classes are doing well.
I can debate that, Rahul.
Sorry?
I can debate that. I mean, you look at a clutch of smaller names on the banking side. You look at, for example, cement on the valuation side, maybe even IT relative to historical past on the valuation side. There are some bargains available.
So, okay, let's dive a little deeper into that. Historical versus what you're actually buying it today for the future. Let's start backwards. You said IT. Let's look at TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, and TechM. All these five over the next 2 years are going to grow their top line and bottom line by 7 to 9%. Nobody is going to grow. Leave the large caps
out.
Sorry?
Leave the large caps out. A clutch of those mid-sized names, non-nifty names.
So Persistent is already at 40x. So what is your exit multiple? So as sell-side brokers, you have to give at least a 15% upside. Most sell-side brokers, in some brokers it's 20%. So you're talking about an exit rate, you're talking about a target multiple of 48 on Persistent Systems. I'm not saying it can't head there, but I'm saying, is that a reason to buy? By that same token, Dixon Technologies, which has probably for me been the best stock of the market of the last 10 years, how many companies have grown their top line and bottom line compounded by 30% while holding a 30% ROE, ROC? That's remarkable. Now, I think to your point about even banks, Neeraj, I think even if you look at, you were discussing PNB Housing Finance, even if you look at something like a PNB, it's already trading at close to one-time book. I think a DCB after the run it's had is already trading in line with historical averages. HDFC, ICICI are already 2.7, 2.8. There will be some stocks that like an innocent bank or something which are 0.7, 0.8, which are marred by certain external events, and they may correct themselves. But I don't think valuations even in banking after this run are cheap. And you're talking about credit growth being not even equal to nominal GDP growth. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound despondent on a good day, but I think a voice of reason just to temper expectations is very important.
Okay.
I mean, even in cement, I'm not disputing.
Just say expectations cannot be tempered more than they have this last year.
Yeah.
This is a time of a reality check.
No, but I think, Tamana, that's the
of
point. I think, people have forgotten that this market can actually correct. the market has not corrected. If the Nifty was to head down to 20,000 or 18,000, that's when things end. And it's not a major correction. 20,000 from here is a 20% correction. People have forgotten to even think that this can happen. I mean, Parag Bhai is here. We've seen cycles. We've seen the Asian currency crisis. You've seen the .com. We've seen the 93 blast. We've seen what's happened in 2008, the taper tantrum out. Market's correct. I think people have just forgotten कि ये हो भी सकता है.
Okay, so let's see. I mean, Rahul has the pulse of the market like very few people have. So I wouldn't want to bet against him. But I don't know, somehow the last 12 months, 14 months underperformance leads me to believe that it might well turn out to be the year for equities. I'm not saying gold will outperform or underperform. It's difficult to call. But keep in mind that even the near term, and just before we go to Kush Bora and Deven Choksi, just a very quick setup for the near term, right? Because it's a 1 hour trading window. You might want to put in your trades, Shagun ke saude, what have you. There has been 3 or 4 days of some bit of FI buying that has started to come in. It's only 2,000 crores, 2,165 crores. So nothing dramatic. This market has actually gone up because of some short covering, to be very honest. I mean, you look at the FI long short ratio, the peak short ratio was 94. It is now at 82. So you can very safely say that this has happened because of the short covering bound as yet, and because the cash buying is only 2,000 crores. But you would probably see smart money, some bit of smart money starting to book some profits in all areas except consumption. So keep in mind, I think the one pocket that everybody is betting on is consumption. And we'll talk about that in detail.